Good evening, folks. This is Rass again. Okay, in the battlefield, we scouted this city. First thing you'll notice, there's no wall gen. They've got reinforcements, which is a ground march. So, and that's a K-40 ground march. No T-15s, but level 40 generals. So, and look at the size of it. Notice there's almost a million T-14s, almost a million T-13s, 650,000 T-12s, 100,000 T-11 ground troops. Elise and Zhang Fei are ground generals. Now you'll notice everything else, archers, cavalry, siege, they've got 2,000 troops. That's it. That is a PvP march. Okay, well, it's sort of one. I think I can build a better one, but I'll see how that's put together. Now here's what's in the keep. 999,000 T-13 horses, 1.4 million T-12 archers. They don't even have a T-14 tier. They have no wall gen. Okay, 1.2 million archers. A million T-10 musketeer archers. Not much of anything else. And quite a bit of mounted troops. 500,000 T-9s. 500,000 T-8s. They have no T1 wall, no wall gen. But they had those reinforcements. I knew I would lose a solo range attack just up against that. It'd be like trying to hit him in a temple. So I called for a range rally. And Beasley showed up. Thank you, sibling. I think Mace had already been zeroed. Mace showed up there, but reinforced my keep in case I got counterattacked. Thank you, Mace. Connie wasn't there yet. I think Naka had already been zeroed, so this was what we had to go with. Okay. First, let's look at what we did. Now, counted up lost power on our part. 316 million power. The keep itself lost 314 million power up there at the top under boom. So we barely lost on points if we just hit the keep, which without the reinforcements, I would have zeroed the keep by myself. But since he did have the reinforcements, the reinforcements lost 23 million power. So we basically won that hit by 23 million power. Let's see what we killed. Some T-14s, some T-13s, some T-12s. So that would have been a win in SVS. And then this one sent ranged, which we killed a lot of T-13 ranged. Sent some mounted. So we smashed the range. Here, 999,000 T-13 mounted troops, where most of our points came from. We wiped out that T-12 range troop layer. 1.4 million of them, wiped it out. You'll notice that T-12 ground troop layer got a little bit of a win on us, and so did that T-13. T-13 killed 73,000 of our soldiers, lost 33,000 of their own. That's a win. Now, I want you to look at first the buff. I'm packing a 2074 range attack buff. The enemy debuff was minus 317. So, without those reinforcements, I could have smashed over this by myself. But we're not looking at the 3,300 buffs that K-44 hit us with us in the past SVS. So take a look at how many ground troops I sent. I sent 1,000 of them. I sent 465,000 T-14s, 1,000 mounted troops, 1,000 siege machines, 4,000 T-13 ground troops. I don't know why I do that. I need to reduce those numbers. I sent a little over 700,000 T-13 range, about 1,000 T-13 mount, about 2,000 siege machines. Okay, I'm sending 2,000 per layer. About 1,000 T-12 ground troops. I'm sending 1.5 million T-12 range troops. And then 1,000 per layer, everything else, 5,000 a layer for range troops down past the T-12 layer. Don't ask me why it works, but the T-12 usually gets more kills than everything else. I don't know why it didn't this time. But usually if you're sending too many T-13s or T-14s, you lose points. For those that don't already know that. Look over here at Beasley, the same thing. She sent about 500,000 T-14s, almost 600,000 T-13s, just 1,000 of everything else. And she sent 1 million T-12s, and the T-12s got 2 million kills. So, but even then, same trend applies. That T-13 ground troop layer in the main keep lost 33,000 soldiers, 267,000 survived, killed 73,000 of ours. That's where your wins are going to come from against a range rally. And your ground troop and siege machine layers. Look at that T-12 siege machine down there. They lost no siege machines. If you don't get zeroed, you don't lose any siege machines. Like hardly at all. Killed 30,000 of our soldiers. Look at the T-11 ground troop layers. Still beat us by only like 5,000 soldiers. But their losses came in the range and mounted troop layers. T-11 siege machine killed 3,000 of us. And mostly what killed us was this K-40's reinforcements. Ground troop layers. Ground troops are going to do well against a range march unless they're poorly put together and the buffs are outmatched and outnumbered and outgunned. You're doing something stupid sending rage against ground. But I thought we could wipe all that out with a rally and get more points. But by that time, we had one player left who could join the rally. We were really already beaten. So now I want you to look at, well, real quick, we'll look at these. Uh-oh, it's the end of battlefield. So that means something's about to happen here. All right. For those of you who do not play Battlefield with us, okay, number 3, 4, 5, and 6 was Beasley, Black Mamba, Connie, and Mace. Those are our regular faces in Battlefield and Barb events. I'm going to say those, minus Word and maybe one or two others I'm forgetting, those are our top 4 fighters. Number 10 and 11, we've got to do something with Naka's defense. That is a beast if we can do something with his defense, because he's got higher range attack buffs than I do. He's got T-15 troops. He's all attack. We've got to help Naka with his defense. I'm not sure what exactly we need to do for Goose. So Goose, please start talking to people. Please show them everything you got. Generals, number of troops, refines, blazons, all that. Show that to us and we can help you. Those two didn't get max rewards. You need 1,800 for max rewards in Battlefield. So I'm going to leave Battlefield. Game's going to reboot. Okay, this is why we do Battlefield. In the last video, I showed you... Okay, there's a royal thief. In the last video, I showed you need gems to get buffs. Well, we don't have a lot of money to be buying gems, so kill that real quick. Let's look at what the Battlefield gives you. I don't know what golden commemorative coins do exactly. Badges, you need those to feed certain dragons. That's buffs. Dragon crystals, you need those to feed certain dragons and get their talents up. That's buffs. Resources, speed ups are always nice. Gold, you need gold for research. That's buffs. 40,000 gems, that's you need gems to get buffs. Runestone chests, you need those for general specialties. That's buffs. Dragon source fragments, you need those to get dragon talents up. That's buffs. Tactics scrolls, you need those for military academy research. That's buffs. If you're serious about increasing your buffs, you'll take part in Battlefield and you'll do it regularly. You'll find time to be in every battlefield that you can, win or lose. Okay, of course, the higher you score, those aren't bad resource and gold rewards. Research stones, those get burned up like a motherfucker at the higher levels. Killing Vikings in battlefields. Research means buffs. Okay, then Dragon Crystal 150. Battlefield rewards are a bit different now. Okay, I've done that. All right, let's go back to these battle reports. Okay. So here, they took out my siege. I had reinforcements. Thank you, Mace. Mace sent mounted generals with a ground march. Not sure what the idea was with the composition of it, but Mace got plenty of kills, tens of thousands of kills. The reinforcements really weren't going to do much because, I mean, I lost almost all my T-14 siege. They hit me with siege. I didn't take a look at the rally screen and see what it was. I was looking at something else. It happens. So siege pretty much only hit siege. And my T-13 siege took out 1.8 million of theirs. I lost 500,000 T-12 siege, took out 1.3 million of theirs. I had sent my siege attack march out. I didn't have any T-11 siege left, really, to try to hit a K-40 earlier and messed up all my siege. So they hit me with siege. See, Edward Teach Palace siege generals. T-14 siege. You don't see much else until you get down to T-11. They sent 2 million T-11 siege machines at me. They did the same thing. Siege machines. So they take out my siege. The next time I seen it on the rally screen and I ghosted my big siege. And unfortunately, I put my big siege in Mace to reinforce him, and they hit Mace. They saw me do it. They were smart. So I couldn't bring my siege back in. But this time I beat him, the siege just wasn't there. So they sieged me twice. See, siege attack. See right down there, siege attack on their side, not my side. First of all, my siege buffs are bigger than theirs. Pretty much. Well, no, they're not, but almost. My siege buffs are equal to their siege attack, so they shouldn't have been sieging me in the first place. But my siege attack is half of what my siege attack debuff, 843, down there, siege machine debuff, is half of their 1687 attack buff. So it really wasn't a hellified siege attack, but there was a lot of them because they rallied. And see, they're hitting with siege again. They sieged me twice. So now look at the next report. I lost 451 million power. They lost 597 million power. So I got a lot of points off that. It took a chunk out of me, but I did get a lot of points off of that. Now let's see what they hit me with. They hit me with a 2095 range attack buff. See down there under Nasser. How do you spell that? Urcan spelled backwards. What the hell is it? Okay. Their attack buff is 2095. My range debuff is 1047 in this case. It's half their attack buff. I've got over 1100 range buff max. Your debuff is only going to be half of what the opponent's attack buff is at most. So 1047 range debuff for me. So that plays a big part. But again, look at that ground troop defense and HP. About 1500 for both of them. And a 1500 siege attack, except they took out my siege with 2 rallies. They picked me apart. So there's a lot of lessons here. So look what happened. My T-14 ground killed 1.3 million of their soldiers. I lost 659,000 T-14 ground. So that's a win for me. My range troop layer got wiped. Got 760,000 kills, which counts, but it got wiped. T-14s. 1.2 million T-14s is a lot to give up. They're 62 points apiece. So that's 63 million points they got off of me if it was SVS just off my T-13 range. My T-13 ground killed 2.2 million of theirs, tore their asses up, and I lost 17,000 soldiers. My T-13 range, I actually got a win, 650,000 kills for me versus 300,000 kills for them. Okay, my T-13 mounted troop, I had 800,000 of them in there. They got wiped. I had ghosted my T-14 and a lot of my T-13. I've got 2 million of them. Notice you won't see any siege layers. This is completely without siege. I'm taking this rally. T-12 ground troop. I killed 2 million soldiers with the T-12 ground troop. Only lost 16,000. Now you're getting in the T-12 range. Only lost 178,000 soldiers. T-12 mounted, wasn't much in there. T-11 ground troop. I killed 1.3 million of their soldiers. I lost 51,000. That's a win. I'm kicking their asses on the ground layers. At this point, the range layers are killing and not taking any losses. Now, look at what came at me. There are 6 players in this rally, 2 K40s and those alts. Having an alt farm in Battlefield. Wow. Okay. Look at their marches. They send more T-12 than anything else. In this case, it doesn't get more kills. Don't know why. Right there, T-12 gets more kills. Look at all these troops that they sent. That was almost 13 million troops that they sent at me with a nearly 2100 range attack buff. My wins came in the ground layer. So we send a range rally at them, we lose. Their wins come in the ground and siege layers. Their losses come in the mounted and range troop layers. They send a range rally at me, take out my siege first. My wins come in the ground layers. So those are very instructive when you consider look at it again. Bring that ground troop HP up. Bring that range debuff up. And your wins will come in those layers. You need those layers, the ground and siege layers. We've had a range rally splat against someone. Their victories came in the ground and siege layers. We've taken huge attacks on ourselves. Our victories come in the ground and siege layers. Get those ground buffs up and get those siege buffs up and build more from T8 up. If you're going to be taking these big range rally attacks. There's the PvP march you asked me to talk about, and there's some lessons that we learned from the battlefield. And wait, there was another one. Yeah, I solo attacked this one. I mean, I lost 148 million power. They lost 815. So in SVS, I scored big time. But 1970 buff against not much debuff. But they didn't get zeroed. Look where their wins came. Slight loss in the T14 ground troop layer. Big losses in T14 ranged and mounted. T14 siege, killed 25,000 of my soldiers, didn't lose any. There's only 47,000 of them, not many. T13 ground, whooped my ass. Killed 1.4 million of me, lost 400,000. There was nearly 2 million T13 ground troops. One reason I lost that hit, wiped their T13 range and mounted. T13 siege, killed 75,000 of my soldiers, didn't lose a single siege machine. But they don't have many siege. Would have got more kills with more siege. T12 ground troop, not many of them, but they still won. 19,000 kills of my soldiers. I killed only 7,000 of theirs. That's still a win. Wiped their range and mounted layers. You're seeing the pattern. T12 siege, killed 74,000 of my... You're seeing the pattern. Your wins are going to come if you don't get zeroed with a range attack. Your wins are going to come with your ground and siege layers. You need that on top of that T1 layer. The T1 layer does not protect your high tiers. When we learned to build the T1 layers and the flat refines, that was 18 months, 2 years ago, and we didn't have K40 pluses. When we started seeing them, we needed someone to keep an eye on them. Now, man, we're going to have to go head up with these fuckers. And that's how we're going to have to do it. We got to build stronger ground and siege layers. And if we can't win the attack, at least we can get a smaller loss ratio and get more points off of them. I think that's all for this one.